second half. I can't say that about the way the game started. It is not by design to build these double-digit deficits, and I mean, that is not something we're looking to do, and it's just obviously coincidental that it's happened these first 2 games. We're going to do everything we can to get off to better starts, but really, really proud of how the guys responded. Most importantly, and I know everyone's going to talk about RJ and Javon and scoring the basketball, and they did fantastic. But that group of Caleb LeCount in the first half, Valentino, Pinedo, Saxby Sunderland, David Kasanganai, Benjamin Biella, and Ezra Osar, when they came in when we were in foul trouble, and knowing that we were without Brandon and we had to play some different lineups, just really proud of that young group of guys because they kept us within striking distance because they rebounded the basketball and they defended with great energy. And then obviously RJ, Javon, and Caleb scoring the basketball was a huge piece.
All right, questions for Coach?
You mentioned falling behind early. Obviously, you don't have all of the answers, but is that a game plan thing, an execution thing, or a youth thing? What are some of the things that you see as a coach that might be able to patch this up over the course of the next week or two?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would tend to think that it's more experience. I would believe that. I mean, again, tonight, that when we got out there on the court tonight, there was 3 seniors, I think, in the starting lineup, or 2 seniors and a junior, and particularly backcourt guys that are older players that have played a lot of minutes. But that being said, that's not an excuse. We have to find a way to be better to start games. And what happened tonight was not that different than Mercer, because to be honest, their first three or four shots they made, our defense was not the issue. The defense, we were playing defense. We weren't as aggressive and obviously causing as much disruption as we did later in the half and clearly the second half. But the biggest thing was that they were making some tough shots, and you give them credit. They got really good players. On the other end is where we were really struggling. I mean, we were abysmal in the first 10 to 12 minutes of the first half, and we were really struggling. And that was a clear indicator where your offense can really hurt what's going on the defensive end, because the other team is just gaining confidence with every stop, with every missed 3, and there was a lot of them to start that game this evening. A lot of them.
You mentioned that last game you thought the ball stuck too much to your guys' hands, not quite as good a ball movement. Do you think that there was improvement on that tonight?
Here's the deal. Without Brandon keeps that floor spread for us really well. Because of the fact of his threat to pop and also his threat to play out of the short mid-post area off ball screens. So we didn't have that tonight. And ball ended up just swinging around the perimeter. And I don't think the ball stuck as much as the ball was moving, but we were standing. Hit one guy, he looked to do something, hit the next guy. The ball didn't stick in one guy's hand, but we had very little off-ball movement creating rotations. Presbyterian is a pressure team that wants to play one-on-one defense, and they did a really good job of doing that. They don't want to help off. They don't want to rotate. So those 8 turnovers we had in the first 10 minutes of the game was because on drives, and we had showed them this and told them this, and they've seen it, but it's different when you get out there. You drive the ball, we preach drive to pass, drive, kick, and now they're not helping off anybody. And now you're in there and you got to go finish. And now you see Benjamin tried to drop the ball. He throws it out of bounds. Ezra tries to throw the ball when all he needs to do is really attack the basket. He throws it out of bounds. So part of it was getting used to it. But I give Presbyterian a lot of credit. They're a really good defensive team, and they always have been. Coach Farrell does a great job.
Coach, when you had those defensive runs, it seemed like the energy really came from the guys on the bench. That really helped energize the team and get them going.
You're 100% right. And again, it was, Valentino, he hasn't played yet. He got in, and Val was as big a reason why we stayed in that game, because of his offensive rebounding and probably the defensive things he did that go unnoticed in the stat sheet. How he plays ball screens, how he plays off the ball, some of our schemes that we're in, what he needs to do. And he did them to a T. Okay? He actually came in, gave up an offensive rebound, went out, and we gave him a second run. And he went, and at that point, he really did well. But whether you call it Caleb or Dave, Saxby, Val, Ezra, there's no doubt about it that was the group that changed an energy standpoint. I think we cut it to 6 or 7 after being down 19. And, and obviously we took a lead in the second half, but it was that group that gave us even a chance.
Is that kind of, when you talk about the culture you want to put into this program, is that where that's coming from? Is that kind of the idea of a perfect Mike Houston team would have, or Mike Schwartz team would have those types of things?
I would love to have a Mike Houston team, believe me. I'd feel real good if we had a Mike Houston team. So, but no, just, honestly speaking, I think all coaches would love a team to understand that, hey, whether you're the first guy or the 16th guy, every day you prepare, you got to be ready. I think we got a coaching staff that does such a great job. Not, the guys that play big minutes don't get more time with them than the guys that don't. The same guy that doesn't play or that's a potential red shirt gets the same individual workouts, the same film study, gets the same time in practice, maybe not the reps in practice, but he's held to the same standard. And I think in these moments, you hope that that's why maybe that helped. Because even though Valentino hasn't played much in either secret scrimmage and hasn't played in the first game and really doesn't get some of those same reps that the other guys get in practice, I can promise you if you came to our practice, Val is held to the same standard as anybody you want to name that might be playing big minutes right now, Brandon or Javon or any of them.
Anything else for Coach?
I want to ask about Caleb McCown. Is he already more advanced than you thought he would be 2 games in the season?
So I don't know, advance. He's got such a long way to go in terms of understanding just some of the nuances that he's got to be great in. And whether that's transition defense, whether that's teams trying to attack him in the post, because they will. They see Caleb, they think, and this was a team with Crosby, James, and Reddish that posts up their guards. I mean, those are big physical guards. So we knew going into the game, we're going to have to deal with that, especially when Caleb's in the game. I mean, Javon's a big guard, Jaden's a big guard, Quentin's a big guard. But when Caleb keeps learning how important those details are, to your point, as an offensive player, I said this when he got into Greenville, Caleb's been scoring the ball at his size for a long, long time. He knows how to do it. And that doesn't mean it's going to translate with the same volume as it did in high school or anywhere else, but Caleb knows how to score the basketball.
All right, anything else for Coach?
Last thing I have, offensively, second half, obviously it always helps when you're making shots. But what do you think about the way your offense was moving? Because there was a lot of extra passes, there was a lot of driving kick. Things seemed to be flowing. How nice was that to see?
Yeah, and again, it's what you said. It's all good when the ball goes in the basket, and we all know that. But the ball was moving. We were executing offense. We were running. We were getting out. We want to run more. We've talked to Javon and Caleb and Jaden about it, our 3-point guards, about understanding the importance of you got to get that ball up the floor quickly. And sometimes we put so much emphasis on defense every possession that sometimes we get the rebound and maybe the guys take a breath for a second. And that's the growth we got to have as a team. We got to keep putting it on. If we get a rebound and we get a stop, no time to relax. We're not trying to walk the ball up the floor. We want to ball ahead, advance the ball, and then flow into our offense. But with that being said, the ball movement was much better. Obviously, the shots went in, but I still believe it stems from our defense. And that 20 minutes in the second half, hopeful that we can get to the point that win, lose, draw, whatever it is, that's our defense. That is our identity on defense. And I thought we did it for 20 minutes in the second half.